Hey folks, I'm Deb. This is Crone Sculpting. We talk about weight loss. I talk about my 54 to date pound weight loss after turning 40, things I did right, things I did wrong. Every Friday I post a couple of videos. And this is this week's, and it's about how to break a stall. For real, how to break a stall. And I'm going to tell you how to do it, and you're not going to believe it. You've already proven this to yourself probably 100 times if you've ever dieted. And you didn't realize it, and you thought you were doing something wrong, but you actually weren't. So first, let's talk about very briefly why you stall. So I've lost 54 pounds, a little over 1/4 of my body weight. So my body does not say, yay, 26 more pounds and you'll be at a good weight. My body goes, oh, you've lost 1/4 of us is gone. 1/4 of us is gone. Now, our bodies are conditioned from way, way back to store fat. It's a good thing because we have always, as a species, until very recently in in evolutionary terms, gone through periods of famine. So our body has this little mechanism that says when we have food and we have extra food, store that so that when we don't have food, we've got something to burn. We're not going to starve. Now, of course, we've got so much food available that rarely happens, but it does because we diet. So if you talk to my body, it would say, periodically she goes through these famines. It doesn't realize I'm on a diet. It just thinks I'm on a famine. And she goes down to ridiculously low calories and she exercises her ass off and then she snaps out of it and eats normal and then we store some more fat. So she loses a little and then she quits and she finds food again and then we store the fat back. And this is why you've lost weight and gained weight and lost weight and gained weight. Your body, if you gain 20 pounds over the summer when, on vacation and then knock that weight back off pretty quickly, your body's not going to get to that little set point. But if you've inched up and had extra weight on your body for a long period of time, it does. And it doesn't understand that when you lose that weight drastically back down, that is your real set point. That's where you actually need to be. It just thinks, no, it's up here. So what happens is our body has a brilliant regulatory mechanism in it. It's a very complicated endocrine system. It's your thyroid, your adrenals, leptin, this little hormone that tells your body you got plenty of food coming in, you can burn some fat now. It's a very complicated system, and it all monitors what kind of food is coming in and what kind of energy expenditure is going out, and it regulates so that you don't burn too much and you don't lose too much. So when you lower your calorie intake and or put out more energy through exercise or whatever, after a period of time, when you've done this long enough, your body goes, we're burning too much. Let's just slow down. So your thyroid slows down, your leptin production, this little hormone that goes out and says, she's got lots of food coming in, burn some fat. We can spare some. We don't need to store this. We can burn some of this fat stores. We're okay. That lowers. Everything lowers. So in the video description, there's a 22-minute, I know that's a long time, but there's a 22-minute video, not by me. It's a little part of an HBO documentary that goes into this in detail. I highly encourage you to spend 22 minutes of your time and watch that video because it's really going to tell you what's going on when you're losing weight so that when you hit these stalls, you don't freak out. You don't go nuts. You don't think, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't that diet working anymore? You'll understand, this is why. And I don't need to hate my body. This is what it's doing. It's doing this to protect me. I do, however, need to kind of outsmart it and help it get over this terror of losing too much fat because I've still got fat to lose. Okay, so how do you break a weight loss stall once you watch this? And let me just say, when you watch this, these people have gone down to a 800 calorie a day diet, which I hope you don't do that. Don't do that. That's starvation. You don't need to do that to lose weight. You won't lose it as fast. I haven't lost it as fast, but you know what? I don't have any sagging skin. And I haven't starved and I'm not miserable, so don't be miserable. Don't do that. But they went to an 800 calorie a day diet. And that's pretty extreme. That video in the description box is going to be depressing, and you're just going to want to throw yourself into a pizza or a big vat of chocolate pudding. But don't lose hope. Okay, so it talks about the leptin and the thyroid levels lowering, and that this is what makes you crave more food, and your body is trying to outsmart you and say, eat more stuff, put more fat on. It doesn't understand. For me, 54 pounds is good. I need 26 more. It just goes, 54 pounds. Go eat some chocolate cake. Okay. So how do you outsmart that? Now I don't have, maybe I'll find some, but maybe I won't, articles to this. I don't know how much science has been done about this, but there are lots of people. There's a lot of anecdotal information out there, at least, if nothing else. If you Google carb refeed, why you should break your diet for a while, why you should, I know, calm down. There's a lot of anecdotal information and probably some science out there. Because what we know is when you start eating at maintenance, so say you're on you're 2,000 calories a day is what you need. That's a lot, pretty close for most people. To lose weight, you reduce that down to 1,500, 1,700 calories a day. If you just go back and eat at maintenance and go back to your normal eating for just a short time, for like a week, your body, that leptin's going to come back up, the thyroid function's going to come back up, everything's going to come back up to normal. If you watch that 22-minute video, they actually inject people with leptin and they continue to lose weight and everything goes back to normal. So all you got to do is bump your stores back up, and all you have to do that is go back to eating, and your body goes, she's over this famine, which is actually a diet. She's over it. She's over it, everybody. We can go back to our normal functions, and your metabolism will speed back up. Your leptin stores will come up to normal. Your thyroid function will come back up to normal, right? Everything goes back to normal because she's eating lots of calories. She's eating carbs. She's eating sugar. She's eating normal again. We're okay. And you do that for a week or two, sometimes even just a few days, you'll know. Because for me, anecdotally, when I'm eating low carb and not eating sugar and stuff and refined carbohydrates, I don't really crave food. And then after a month or so, sometimes I start really craving bad foods. And I was just fighting that and hitting the wall and so frustrated that I was on a stall and the scale would stay the same for months. When I finally figured this out and just said, okay, this weekend, I'm just going to eat. I'm just going to pig out. Then things started to jumpstart again. But what I found, one time I said, I'm going to do this for a week. I'm not going to go low carb. For a week, I'm going to just carb out and pig out. I lasted about 3 days before I was just like, this is terrible. Because when you're not used to eating sugar and these refined carbohydrates and you eat them, you're bloated, you feel gross. I get a headache now from sugar. I have no energy. So, I can go about 3 or 4 days of pigging out and then I'm just like, I can't eat another piece of bread. I can't do it. So you'll kind of know because you're not hungry anymore. At first when you do this, you're like, oh, here I go again. I have no control over food. I'm shoving food. I'm craving donuts and all these terrible things. And then after a few days, you're just like, And that's, to me, very anecdotally and unscientifically, that's when I know everything's back to normal and I can go back to low carb and then the scale moves again. Now, you can't do this every week. You can't do this all the time. But you can do it when you've gone several weeks without the scale moving and you're starting to crave foods and you're getting really frustrated. This is something to try. The other way to do it is to just eat maintenance calories. So if your 2,000 is your maintenance, eat that for a while. Stay on low carb or whatever and eat that for a while. If you Google carb refeed, taking a break from your diet, you're going to see all sorts of different theories on how to do this. And try them. A lot of healthcare people out there and fitness coaches and things say, don't do this, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. The idea is that if you go off of, say, low carb and you're doing really good, or keto, there, of course, with keto and Atkins, there's this idea of getting out of ketosis and all this stuff. That's kind of the point, is to break that and make your body think you're back to normal so that when you go back to it, it actually is okay to burn some more fat. But a lot of people are afraid that, oh, if you go off, you'll never go back on again. I got over that because how many of us have been on the cabbage soup diet, slim fast, very strict things and we've stuck to it. We've eaten terribly and then we've gone to these very hard diets to follow. A lot of us have done that. And you've done it before. So it's kind of insulting. It's almost like, oh, if you're fat, you have no willpower. And you just, no, we have lots of willpower. We've tried really hard to lose weight and done some really harsh diets in order to do it. So yeah, you can take a break for a week or two and come back to it and have that discipline. And in fact, the longer you eat well, you eat whole foods, vegetables, low carb foods, the better you feel. The shorter, what I'm finding is the shorter time I can tolerate going back to that. And I'm itching to get back on the diet, which is a good thing. For me, every time I go off of it, which is not often, it reinforces to me why I do it to begin with. Because you can do this long enough and you're just like, God, I haven't, like last summer, I was like, oh my God, I haven't even had ice cream all summer. Like, what am I doing? This is awful. One time I can't have ice cream. And then I went and ate ice cream and got a headache. And I'm like, because the sugar, it was so sweet, I didn't even enjoy it. And I'm like, I didn't miss anything by not eating ice cream last summer. So if it's really the right way to eat for you, you feel so good when you do it and so crappy when you don't that it's not hard to go back at all. And watch that 22-minute little part of that documentary and see if that makes sense to you too. And a lot of people out there are talking about this. Carb refeeds, going off your diet for a while, just for a week or two, not forever. And now, the other thing, if you're doing low carb, is you got to add carbs back in. Good carbs. I eat sweet potatoes now, maybe some oatmeal here and there, more veggies, more carb type, like cantaloupe, low carb fruit. You got to have to start throwing this stuff in because if you go too low carb for too long, that seems to stall you out too. And I noticed when I finally got over that and started incorporating daily higher carb foods, but it's still good low carb food. So in other words, sweet potatoes, that kind of thing. They're still considered low carb and low glycemic, but they're not keto. They're not Atkins induction, the first phase of Atkins, sorry. And Dr. Atkins always suggested to inch those carbs back up in your diet. I don't know if that's because he knew that was a problem. I don't remember him actually saying that out loud, but there was a reason he had that plan in there for some reason. So that's how you break a stall. You just go pig out for a few days. Just do it. And you'll feel crappy and you'll be bloated and whatever. And your body will go, yay, she's eating terribly again. We can get rid of some of this fat. And then you go back to low carb and you feel fantastic. And you're like, yay, this is why I did this because I hate carbs, how they make me feel. And then the scale starts moving again. You've already done this. I'll bet money. I don't care what diet you're on, if you're on Weight Watchers, low carb, whatever. You've already blown the diet because you just got fed up because the scale hasn't moved. You're exercising. That's another thing. You can just take a break from exercising too for a week or so, You're exercising, you're lowered your calories, you're drinking gallons of water, you're doing it and the scale and you're like, screw it. And you just go back to eating like you always ate. And then you put on a few more pounds, you gain a few pounds back and you go, oh, I'm going to do it again. And you go back to it. And miraculously, the diet seems to work again. If you Google diet stall, there are, whether it's low carb or whatever you're doing, there are message boards upon message boards talking about diet stalls, diet stalls, diet stalls. And what you notice, if you're a little obsessive like I can be, a lot of these people talk about the diet stall, diet stall, diet stall, and they never show back up again. And I think that's because they just give up because they don't know this trick. Go off the diet for a little bit, not forever, not for very long. Make your body think you're eating like you're supposed to, like you always did, and it'll relax and lose some weight. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see what I talk about next Friday. There's a hack for this, and it's muscle. I'm going to talk about that next. All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.